What's going on, everyone? Nick Filato here for another film breakdown of a potential first-round selection for the New York Giants. We're going to go over Oregon edge rusher Kayvon Thibodeaux. If I was told last season the Giants would have a shot at KT, I would have thought the Giants were terrible. Well, they were terrible. They sucked. But 4 other teams were worse. In a draft that's weak at top-tier talent with no clear-cut quarterback, it seemed almost impossible that Kayvon Thibodeaux would be available at pick 5. But here we are. There's a lot of rumblings about Thibodeaux's lack of desire and passion, and that he's, a me guy because he's a little bit forward thinking about his brand and kind of how he comes off in some interviews. I watched a bunch of 2020 tape and all the 2021 film I could find. Unfortunately, it was only 2 2021 games, but I never questioned his desire. He hurt his ankle in week 1 against Fresno State, and he was all over the field before that. He returned 2 weeks later. I saw the UCLA game shortly after that, and he was making plays 15 yards down the field and routinely tracking ball carriers down from the backside. There could be tape where he isn't given 100% of the effort, but I have not seen that. But let's keep that narrative a brewing and allow the Giants an opportunity to select Kayvon Thibodeaux at 5. Thibodeaux, he is a powerful athletic edge who is 6'4", 254 pounds. He uses every bit of his 33 1/8 inch arms to lock out offensive linemen at the point of attack with excellent leverage, balance, and pop in his hands. He can win with speed up the arc, power through the chest, whether that's a straight bull rush with great pad level or a long arm with excellent lower leg drive, and he can convert speed to power. He's multi-dimensional like that. He has the makings of being an excellent run defender as well. He's a little bit undisciplined with gap integrity. He can get overly aggressive at times, but all of that is coachable. Thibodeaux is a smart football player who thinks about his pass rush plan, but needs to do a better job consistently employing it at a more efficient rate. His hand technique can use some work, and there are questions about his ankle flexion through contact when he's at the top of the pass rushing arc. I think those questions are fair, but we're going to get into all this in this video. So you know what? Let's just dive right in. Kayvon Thibodeaux is number 5 right here. This first play is in 2021. Just watch the attention that is paid to him, because if you do not pay this type of attention to Kayvon Thibodeaux, it doesn't have to be 3, but it should be 2 a lot of the times. Definitely don't leave a tight end on him. Then it's not going to go well for your offense. Now we have him over here against USC. We're going to see a bunch of plays of him winning with speed up the pass rushing arc. See, he is wide of this tackle. This tackle is aware. This tackle is probably like, oh crap, I need to really get deep in my set and cut off this angle. He does not do a good job at it. Kayvon Thibodeaux gets that outside shoulder, gets hip to hip, and just flattens and turns, sacks quarterback. Now let's see it one more time. Tackle kicks out, hips open up a little early, but he has to try and cut off that angle, but he can't do a good enough job. Thibodeaux does a good job with his hand technique here. Once he gets his hands initiated right on the chest, you can see that has a lower pad level right there, lower center of gravity. Look at the hip difference here. This guy's hips way up in the air. Kayvon Thibodeaux's really down. And Kayvon Thibodeaux does a great job with his hips in these situations. And then watch what Thibodeaux does. He moves his hands off of the breastplate and the chest and kind of goes right after the joint of the elbows here and kind of sheds the blocking attempt of the tackle and then brings that inside arm right through the outside shoulder, rip move, sack. Here's another play against USC. This is against Elijah Vera Tucker, first round pick for the New York Jets. More of an offensive guard, but he was forced to play tackle for his final season at USC. Really, really good player. Here's Thibodeaux. Rip move, gets the sack against USC. Again, this is 2020, but he's wide. You see how he dips that inside shoulder and then lands that inside rip move right there. That's a rip move right there. Now all Kayvon Thibodeaux has to do is rise through the outside shoulder of this tackle, and it's going to rise the center of gravity and allow Thibodeaux to separate, just like he does here. Now this is 2021. This is a ghost technique right here that he just pulls off and gets a sack on DTR. So ghost technique, he's wide. Ghost technique is something that was kind of made famous by Von Miller a little bit. He's going to fake like he's going to long arm. So the tackle, watch, you can see here, fakes like he's going to long arm. So the tackle has to embrace for contact there. He's afraid that he's going to be using power. But instead, it's just a fake. It's just a ruse, as they would say in Archer. Then he dips that inside shoulder. And look, you see how he's trying to land that double punch on the chest because he thinks it's going to be a long arm. But psych! And he dips under both of the punches from the UCLA tackle. And you could see the hip flexion here. I think Thibodeaux has good hip flexion. I question his ankle flexion a little bit. We'll go over that towards the end of the video. But watch how he just fakes. Nah, son. Dips under, turns the corner, uses that inside arm at the top of the arc to just further the separation. You can see how he just kind of swats him away like, nah, I beat you. Gets the sack. These are traits that you can just work with. And Kayvon Thibodeaux has that all over his film. Here's another play against Elijah Vera Tucker. Explodes up the arc, gets the rip move again, and then flushes the quarterback out of the pocket. I believe that's Slovis. See the inside shoulder bend? Lands the rip move underneath the armpit, and you can even see at the contact point. Elijah Vera Tucker has to flip his hips. You never want to do that as a tackle. You're in such a bad position. It wasn't the best set from Elijah Vera Tucker, but he just didn't seem to account for the overall explosiveness and those quick first 3 steps that Kayvon Thibodeaux possesses. And Thibodeaux is able to get into the pocket. Quarterback does a good job avoiding, still throw away, earn the pressure, the hurry. Now we have Thibodeaux right here against UCLA in 2021 again. Gets to the outside shoulder, different type of move, forces the incomplete pass. Let's watch it. Now this one he kind of uses a stutter step here. See how he staggers his feet? Am I going to go inside? Am I going to go outside? Because he has his tackle on an island. That's not something you necessarily want at the collegiate level against Kayvon Thibodeaux, especially not with somebody who's a top 5 tackle, which this UCLA tackle is not. Now here, Thibodeaux lands both punches initially, but he's working towards the outside. You can see how you can't see it right now because the linebacker's in the way, but you can see how he has a lot of this weight on that inside foot. This outside foot's in the air, has both of his hands on this tackle's chest, and then he's just going to shift his weight towards the outside while kind of bringing the center of gravity, or attempting to bring the center of gravity of the tackle downward, while continuously moving up the arc, working his way there, kind of brings his arm over the top. The tackle's feet were never really in a position to execute this block, and Thibodeaux took advantage of it. And you can see that closing burst, too. That's something else I love about Kayvon. That closing burst right there. DTR has to get rid of the football in that situation. Now we see him right here. This is 2020. The inside shoulder dip. Now, it ends up being an incomplete pass, but one-on-one against tackles when he's slightly outside of a 5 technique position, like a wide 9, I guess you could say. This tackle has to, in his brain, think, Kayvon Thibodeaux can run through my chest with power, but he can also win with speed. So that's going to put a lot of offensive linemen in a bind, especially at the college level, as we saw here. And he wins with speed here, but he also uses his hands pretty well, because the tackle, you can see how he's sitting back a little bit. He's bracing himself for contact. He's bracing himself for a bull rush. Thibodeaux explodes off that inside foot, then uses his hands to kind of swat that outside arm downward, dips the inside shoulder, and then he turns the corner pretty well here. And you can see some flexion right there in his ankles. I don't think it's consistent with this film. As I said, we'll go over that later, but you can see he can do it, especially when he sets up that move really well like he does here. He sets it up really well. He's in a really good position right here. This tackle is in no position to execute this block because Thibodeaux sold it very well, and because Thibodeaux is multifaceted in how he attacks offensive tackles with his pass rush. He kind of gets that rip move with the inside, gets the tackle completely turned, and then gets the hurry, incomplete pass. Kayvon Thibodeaux right here. This is an unfortunate spot to be in if you're the tackle. Almost gets the sack. This is just kind of a speed rush, and he's really, really wide here. See how he just uses his inside arm to swat that down. The tackle is in no position to really block this way out on an island like this. The quarterback just needs to get rid of the ball. Quarterback does a good job avoiding the sack, but then he just throws it away. Here's Kayvon Thibodeaux outside. He just takes advantage of a more poor pass set again. And it's more poor because of the speed and the burst that Thibodeaux has. He really threatens the edge. And if this tackle doesn't explode off that inside foot and get enough depth to cut off that angle, he's going to have to flip his hips prematurely, which he does here. And then that allows Kayvon Thibodeaux to get into his outside shoulder, dip his own inside shoulder, rip through, and then crash the pocket, which he does, forcing a sack from another player on the defense. I love this play by Kayvon Thibodeaux too. Just watch him right over here. This is a 2021 play, and it will kind of allude to the fact that he actually thinks about what he's doing. Because watch this fake spin move inside. Bop, bop. Oh, and then he goes right back around. You love the fact that he has the processing. I wish he strung moves together a little bit more consistently, like I said before, but he's thinking about this. He's like, I'm going to fake, like I'm going to inside spin, get the tackle to stop and shift his momentum back inside. Look at where the tackle's hips are. They're oriented right back inside, preparing for that inside spin move. And then Thibodeaux has the short area quickness and just change of direction and the footwork to just flip and try to get around the edge. But tackle did a good job kind of redirecting himself. The guard was there as well. Because one doesn't really end up coming, he ends up dropping off on the blitz. One ends up getting the pressure, though, too. And we got Kayvon over here. Same game. Use his hands to win the edge there. Lands that inside arm right there on the inside shoulder. And then kind of benches him off for a second. A little bit of a push-pull. You can see the little push, and now he's starting to pull downward. Pull the momentum of the offensive tackle downward. Then bring your inside arm through the outside arm. Rip move. Win the edge. Pressure the quarterback. Now we got Thibodeaux right over here. We're going to see some power. Some going inside. You can see the bull rush right there through the offensive tackle of USC in 2020. Gets both of his hands inside. Look, hips so much lower. And that is one of the things I love about KT. Like I said before, he explodes low to high, uncoiling his hips through contact. Look at the center of gravity upon contact of this tackle right here. Look how much lower Kayvon Thibodeaux's hips are. And watch how he just drives his legs, just uncoiling all that power through his torso and through this tackle, using the ground to his advantage and pressuring the quarterback. See something similar? Just pushes this tackle right back into the pocket. Now he does this, you see how the tackle meets hand to hand. They're holding hands right there, honeymoon phase. But then he gets that inside arm on the inside shoulder and just drives backwards. And you can see, okay, my outside arm didn't work. Now I'm just going to transition what was supposed to be a bull rush into a long arm move and then drive the tackle backwards, crashing the pocket and forcing the quarterback out. And then relentless with his pressure afterwards too. Creates a separation, gets his eyes up, goes through the holding, pressures the quarterback, forces an almost catch. Might have been a catch there. Here we got Thibodeaux. This one he slants inside for a stunt. Watch how quick he does this too. So he's, outside, just outside of a 5 technique, which is on the outside shoulder. His tackle's set is a little narrow. Acts like he's going to explode up, get the momentum of the tackle moving up the arc, and watch, explode off that outside foot, go inside, allow the looper to go, and then he just takes on the 2 blockers. 79 does a pretty good job redirecting himself and allowing the quarterback, Davis Mills, to get rid of the football here. But you can see the change of direction and the overall burst and explosiveness from Kayvon Thibodeaux. Here we are. Against Elijah Vera Tucker again, but he slants inside there and just backs the guard up into the pocket, and then watch the relentless pursuit. He doesn't win initially here, right? He's going to slant inside, isolate against the guard. He uses his power to back the guard up and crash the pocket, which forces all of this, and there's also pressure coming from this side. But it's not like he gives up here. This is why, and again, I've only seen the 2 games in 2021, but I didn't see any of this lack of fire and passion. This guy's relentless a lot of the plays that I've seen. He's always doing this. He's always chasing stuff in the backside, and we're going to see that a lot later on when we go over the run plays. Here we have Kayvon right here. Goes inside, almost gets the sack. See how he does that again? Just starts like he's wide, acts as if he's going to go with speed. You can even see how he has the little shimmy in his upper body, like he's going to dip that inside shoulder, and he's adjusting his path up this pass rushing arc. He sees that the tackle is going to overset a little bit to the outside and anticipate speed, so he uses his arms and his strength to kind of forward the momentum of the tackle outside while also taking advantage of the fact that the tackle is being undisciplined with his hips. You can see he's committing to the outside speed rush, which is going to provide the alley, and the guard's not there to help him. So you see the intelligence and the willingness to adjust by Kayvon Thibodeaux. Here we have him here. He just wins with speed right inside. Again, man, these tackles, watch this tackle set right here. He is so scared of Kayvon Thibodeaux's ability to beat him with speed. He jumps outside. He knows by this defensive front that he's probably not going to have guard help because the guard has a 2 technique directly over the top of him. So this tackle has to be cognizant of the B gap and losing up the arc. But you can see how Kayvon Thibodeaux, man, he really just scares these offensive linemen because he has the ability to beat you in a variety of different ways. And here he just sees the tackle overset, adjusts his path, goes right through the B gap. He sees it opening. He's very reactionary like that. Just runs through it. And the guard ends up trying to help the tackle out here because the number 95 kind of drifts in this way, kind of in a stunting, twisting type of manner. And look at the end result there. Also, I think we got to pour one out for this ref's ability to take one right in the crotch area, it looks like there. Oh, and look at him. The guy's a champ. He just backs up. Oh, that's professionalism right there from that ref. Here we have a really unique formation from UCLA in 2021. You can see here's the center, and then you have a guard, and then you have a tight end here because there's a quads formation to the other side, which we cannot see right now. So they have enough guys on the line of scrimmage. This is just a unique formation. Maybe not one that you want to employ against Kayvon Thibodeaux on this end. But the whole design was to get Oregon's defense to go this way, accounting for the quads, and then hit Greg Dulcich up the seam, which you can see was attempted, but Thibodeaux ends up just beating this guard inside, and there's too much pressure. Dulcich can't track it down. I know the play starts a little late, but this is a power gap run from Washington State. You can see both backside players running towards the play side. So they're going to leave Kayvon Thibodeaux unblocked, which is never a good thing, even from the backside. And this kind of goes to the point I was saying earlier about the effort and the desire, because watch the plays that he makes. All the way from the backside, tracks him down and makes the tackle. There's a lot of plays like this on film. We'll go over a couple of them. But he's seeing the puller and he's stepping down. And then he's accounting for the quarterback, as we see there too. You can see how he gets that to the quarterback, sees no football, knows it was handed off, just going to chase it down from the backside. Now we see Kayvon Thibodeaux right here. Another backside run. Crashes all the way down the line of scrimmage, beats number 75 inside, and then makes a tackle from the backside of the play. Here we got him against UCLA. Times this snap excellently. And then DTR tries to take advantage of the fact that he's a little bit aggressive biting down as the contained defender, but it also looks like 33 could be here to also contain, so he might have been told by his coaching staff to be very aggressive at this point and get to the mesh point, which he is able to do. And you could also just watch that change of direction right there. Go into the mesh point. Am I going to hand the football off to 28, or am I going to keep it and tuck it away? DTR made the right decision here. You want to keep it and tuck it away. But the change of direction right there and just the ability to quickly process that is excellent by Kayvon Thibodeaux. Here we got him right here, out wide. Washington State again. This is one where he just takes out the backside tackle who's pulling to the play side. Keeps it very tight off the butt of number 63, creating a lot of traffic. He's able to upend the tackle and make the tackle on the running back. This is a play side run here. He's the play side defender who is going to be attempted to be kicked out, but he beats this tackle to the point, makes the play on the running back. Now we got Thibodeaux over here. Excellent change of direction. Excellent processing. Once again, he starts like he's going to go up the pass rushing arc, sees that this quarterback is going into the mesh point here. This could be some sort of RPO, or it could just be a designed run. He processes it from the backside, tracks it all the way down, and helps make the play. It's a lot of plays like that in Kayvon Thibodeaux's tape. Now we got him right here. We see some more good run defending from this defender. Now that one, it slipped through, but I want to go through the engagement right here. Look, hips low, low hat, lockout. So he's setting the edge right here. You can see how he has control. Now this is something that Kayvon Thibodeaux does sometimes. You can see how he gets his eyes on the running back and then he sets outside. Now, he's setting the edge. He's not allowing or spilling anything outside. But the B gap is a little bit open here, and one can't kind of get himself in the position to make the play there. I'm not going to fully blame that on Kayvon Thibodeaux, but I do love how he's able to set such a firm edge, and his functional strength is excellent, which we see a lot of the times. But I have a couple plays that we're about to go over here where, in a similar situation, Kayvon Thibodeaux doesn't do all that great of a job, specifically because I feel like he gets sucked away from his responsibilities. And I'm also watch Thibodeaux once he realizes this happens. Tracks down, tracks down, tracks down. He's right on his backside the entire time. Here we have Thibodeaux right here. Makes an excellent play. It's a play side run. They're going to pull the backside tackle. This tackle's going to attempt to block down. Thibodeaux positions himself, so he's not the contained defender here. You have 41 here. So he can position himself in the B gap here. And this guy's here to be the contained defender. So Thibodeaux doesn't have to set outside here. It's not his responsibility. So Thibodeaux goes in here, and then he just uses raw strength and power. Look how he's exploding off of this inside foot to just throw the tackle inside, create separation, and now you have a 2 versus 1 because Thibodeaux owned that tackle. And then he makes the play. Here we have Kayvon on this side against USC in 2020. Now this play right here, I mainly have this in here because, again, look, low hips, lock out, get his eyes on the backfield. There's a lot going on here, and these Oregon defenders do a really good job kind of jamming this entire process up. But then watch, extension. He's using his extension. He's using his length. He's not allowing this tackle to get inside of his chest and to control him. And I think Thibodeaux does an excellent job at this. And then he creates separation and gets held. You can see how he does that with his hands. Got you locked out. Okay, I'm going to use both my hands to double swipe your outside arm downward. And then I'm going to go right through with a rip. And you can see how he gets pulled there. That's a hold. Don't believe it gets called. But it doesn't really matter because the play is made by a bunch of Oregon defenders. Thibodeaux over here. Watch the attention paid to him. If you look, another unique formation from Chip Kelly's offense. This is not DTR. DTR is right here. DTR is their quarterback, Dorian Thompson-Robinson. And then you have 1, 2, 3, 4 players right there, right in a row. And 2 of them are going to go and block Kayvon Thibodeaux on the outside. Tension paid. Thibodeaux still makes the tackle out there on the running back. One more time. See? 2 guys. Thibodeaux fights through the contact, gets to the outside, makes the play. Here we have him right here, 2020 USC. He uses a wrong arm technique against a backside pulling guard. The wrong arm is when you attack a backside puller with your outside arm in order to create a lot of congestion in traffic to spill everything outside to contain and secondary contain defenders, force defenders, whatever you want to call them. So you can see he doesn't attack in the spill technique with his inside arm and keep that outside arm free. Instead, he goes with the wrong arm technique, which doesn't mean that it's bad. It's just a way to term this technique. And look, that's going to force him to spill towards these defenders because he's creating a lot of traffic. There's no B gap there that he can get through. He's not getting kicked out. So then you have 23, and you have 6 coming down to help make this tackle. And you also have Thibodeaux, who separates and gets in on the play as well. So another good run defending play from Kayvon. Here again, kind of has a 4-eye. This is one where he's going to get outside. He is the force defender here. So he sets to the outside, forces this running back to go through the B gap, and then he closes and makes the tackle. This is a field side run right here, so there's a ton of space over here. So he needs to jolt out here and get to the outside of 72 and not allow him to go around the edge. Now he has this safety coming down, but that's still going to be a lot of yardage by the time that safety gets to the tackle point. It's another solid play right there. We have Thibodeaux right here, and I want to be fair to Kayvon because I'm not 100% certain if he is the primary contained defender. I think he is, but watch how the second-level defenders react to the misdirection here. They all flow in that direction. It's plausible that number 7 was supposed to be that contained defender, but he got over-aggressive. I don't think that's the case. I think Thibodeaux was the contained defender who was supposed to set this edge, but this tackle oversets, and he sees an opportunity to use his power, his speed, his burst, and his overall athletic gifts to go through the B gap in an unorthodox manner and then make a tackle for a loss. But that doesn't happen. He gets sucked too far inside, and then it gets bounced outside, and then number 1 just makes an excellent play all the way from the backside. That's obviously not his responsibility right here, being the linebacker. But I wanted to at least lay out the possibility that maybe it wasn't his responsibility. I'm not sure. I'm not in the meeting rooms. But I have seen on his film before him try to go inside when he definitely was the contained defender, and it resulted in bigger runs. Because he's just a little bit over-aggressive. He knows he's naturally gifted. He tries to make too many plays. He has to be a little bit more conscious of his gap and keep the integrity of the defense intact. Here, he's going to get shrugged down by Greg Dulcich, who does a good job just kind of landing his outside arm on the outside shoulder pad. I mean, technically, this is not great whatsoever, but he's able to kind of throw Kayvon Thibodeaux off balance where the tackle is going to finish him off and then just take him out of the play. This is like a 2nd and 10 play, so Thibodeaux may have been expecting a pass here, and it was a run to his side, and then both of these players just took advantage of the fact that he was being a little aggressive, leading to this run and another nice tackle from one on the backside there. But on this play, I'm pretty sure he was the contained defender to the boundary. You're not going to have this cornerback be a primary contained defender. He's just a secondary force defender. So that one, I think Thibodeaux probably was a little bit too aggressive, anticipating a pass. Now we have right here. Now you can see how he sets the edge here. Okay, he sets the edge, and then he wants to work back inside. There's a wide open B gap right there. But then that allows the running back to run right around. This is stuff that happens a little bit on this film that you see it and you start to question, and you're not 100% certain of the responsibilities on every single play, but it's something to note. So he works his way back inside after initially doing a really good job locking out, setting the edge, tries to work back inside to close, kind of gets baited by this running back to give up the edge, and the running back obliges for a nice gain. We have Thibodeaux down here. It's another play side run, where Thibodeaux just doesn't get to the outside, doesn't get to set the edge to the field here. He does a good job initially, and makes contact, but this tackle just pulls that inside arm back down. Thibodeaux uses good initial extension here, but then that pull back down forces the center of gravity back downward, and Thibodeaux can't separate. And it's a big run for Washington State. And we have against UCLA, 2020 again. It's a little bit too aggressive there. This is something that happens sometimes. This is a play side run right here where they're going to kind of use like an H-back lead. And the tackle uses that aggressiveness against him, throws him up the pass rushing arc, even though this is a run play, kind of takes him away from the play. Now, you can see how the linebacker does a really good job scraping over the top and positioning himself outside to force this run back inside. So I'm not going to really knock Kayvon Thibodeaux for this play, but it was something I wanted to throw into the film. These final few plays are just questions about Kayvon Thibodeaux, who is right here, his ankle flexion. I had to put it on this angle because the end zone angle was just, you couldn't see because of what happens kind of in front of the pass rushing arc, which we'll see right here. But I just feel like there were a lot of times where Kayvon Thibodeaux did this, where he just couldn't bend through the contact and he ended up losing his footing and sliding at the top of the arc, allowing quarterbacks to get rid of the football. You can't see it too well from this angle, but you can see how he's bending at the top, and then he tries to flatten on this foot right here, but he can't, and he loses his balance and just slips. Now, there were plays that we saw earlier where you saw some ankle flexion. I don't think it's overly consistent, and there's definitely hip flexion that you can even see it right here. You can see how he's bending at the hips. Look how low his knees are. You'd love to see that. But when he goes to corner at the top, he can't flatten those feet, and he just ends up falling. I don't think this is a huge hindrance to his game, but if we're talking about Kayvon Thibodeaux as like a Von Miller, as one of the premier pass rushers kind of coming into the draft, this should be something that is addressed. You can see how he tries to, and then he just loses his balance and falls. Here we kind of see it again. See the camera's a little funky, but gets both his hands inside. You love to see it. Brings the inside arm to rip, and then he just loses balance and falls. Now, this doesn't always happen, though, and that's why I don't feel like it's a damning problem. I really don't. But it is something to just bring up because we talk about him in such a high regard. See, pass gets off. Looks like it probably was a catch. That's Kayvon Thibodeaux right there. And I don't think these are huge issues. If his biggest issues are a lack of elite Robert Quinn, Von Miller type of ankle bend, and an overly aggressive yet correctable nature when setting the edge, then sign me up. He has all the traits to be a difference maker in this league in terms of his ability to set the edge with power, lock out, be a really good run defender, and as a pass rusher. And he's still a little bit raw with his hand technique, with stringing moves together, but you can see the processing and the ability to really adjust and think about his pass rush plan mid-rep. I think he's a smart player who needs a little bit of refinement and who just has so much upside. A lot of upside. If his interviews check out and he's available at 5, the Giants must strongly consider slapping a blue jersey on his back and bringing him to East Rutherford, New Jersey. A lot of people had the same concerns about Micah Parsons last year. Let's see how that worked out for the Dallas Cowboys, at least in his first year. He was such a huge difference maker, and I think Kayvon Thibodeaux has the upside to be that as well. Alrighty, everybody. I'm Nick Filato. This is Big Blue View, their YouTube page. Please hit subscribe if you have not yet, and go check out the website, bigblueview.com. We're constantly cranking out content on the draft and on the New York Giants, up-to-date news on the New York Giants. Again, thank you so much for joining us, and also please be safe, take care of each other, and have a lovely day.